Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about the devil, also known as Satan or Lucifer. Like many people, I grew up with a very clear, very horrifying vision of the devil. He was big, red, he had horns, he was the enemy of God, he lived in hell, and he hated me fiercely. After becoming a born-again Christian, I began to hear a lot more about who the devil is and what his goal is. See, apparently, the devil was an angel named Lucifer, one of the top angels in heaven, and he was jealous of God's love for humans, and that jealousy caused him to rebel against God. So God struck him down to hell, and he became Satan, along with a third of the angels who became demons. Satan is so jealous of humans that his entire purpose is to destroy the relationship that humans have with God by causing them to sin. And that includes me. The devil hates me and is trying to get me to do things I don't want to do. So this freaked me out, and I became obsessed with learning more about him so that I can know how to watch out for him and how to defeat him. So I started researching the Bible, first looking for verses about how the devil got to be where he is, and then trying to figure out why he had so much power. And the more I researched, the more questions I began to have. For example, why would God continue to let the devil wreak havoc on the human race? Surely God could wipe him out whenever he wanted to. And my understanding was that Jesus had defeated the devil. So why am I still struggling against him all the time? And another one, does this mean that I'm not really responsible for the sins I commit? Is it really the devil's fault and I'm just a pawn? A victim? Am I innocent even if I commit a crime? And why did God give him this station of power in the first place? It's not like God punished him by making him a worm that crawls around the dirt and can't hurt anybody. He gave Satan the power to enter the minds of every person in the world and coerce them into performing all types of sins. As I looked, I realized that there were only 3 passages in the Bible that were traditionally considered the explanations of the fall of Satan. They're in Isaiah 14:12 through 20, Ezekiel 28:14 through 19, and Revelation 12:7 through 9. Now these are books and verses in the Bible that are so steeped in symbolism and prophecy that it's nearly impossible to understand what's going on. So wait, there are only 3 obscure passages about where Satan comes from? But I've seen so much backstory in books, in movies, in music. Where did all these stories come from? I began thinking something's up here. And Christianity isn't really providing me any evidence or making any logical sense. All I'm hearing is the same superstitions and traditions that have been passed on for generations. Now maybe you're like me. Maybe you've had some of these same questions. And maybe you've been frustrated about the stories that don't seem to add up. Well, what if I told you that there is an explanation? And it makes sense. And it's that the devil was never meant to be thought of as a real person. Now think about it. Every time the devil actually shows up in the Bible, what is he doing? He's tempting somebody to commit a sin, to do something that harms their spiritual health. Now the explanation that comes from the Bahai Faith is that the symbol of the devil was simply an illustration that was used to help people understand that there are 2 parts to human nature. There's the spiritual self and the fleshly carnal self. The fleshly self in and of itself isn't bad. It's focused on things like being safe, secure, and physically healthy. It's when a person chooses harmful actions to meet those needs that problems start to arise. Things like lying, stealing, being greedy and selfish. These are impulses that harm our spiritual progress, and they are innate in every human being. The original word for Satan actually means adversary. And if you think about the Bible as a handbook for spiritual progress, that's exactly what the impulses of this carnal nature are. an adversary to spiritual progress. The personification of the devil was simply a tool used in ancient times to help people understand that there is a quote-unquote other person inside of them that will lead them to do some dark things if they give in to temptation. But they can overcome it by learning about the right way to meet those needs through the spiritual teachings of God. So there you go. Satan is within each of us because we all have urges to meet our base needs through inappropriate ways. When we give in to that temptation, we can potentially hurt our spiritual progress, which is exactly what God doesn't want to happen. I definitely encourage you to go back and take a look at the Bible verses that include the devil or the adversary and consider it from that perspective. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to check out some of my other videos to learn more about Baha'i interpretations of traditional Christian teachings.